So let's begin using the pandas. So the first question that arises, what kind of data does pandas handle? Okay, so but before we begin, so if you want to use a pandas, or if you just want to start using pandas, so you have to import the pandas library. It doesn't directly come with the Python. So as we have installed it, and similarly we have to import this pandas package. So to load the pandas package and to start working on it, we have to import the package. So what the community has agreed an agreed upon alias that we have here is okay, let me open the pandas first. So I may go for the idli for now, and after that we'll go for the okay. So the community has agreed upon an alias for pandas that's as a pd. So loading pandas will do it as pd. So for that I'd say import pandas as pd. So let me click enter. That's it, it's been loaded. So this is idli. If you know how to use Jupyter Notebook, you can directly use a Jupyter Notebook. But in the next session, we will see how to install the Jupyter and Jupyter Notebook, and then we'll use it for fun. But for now, we will do with the idli. We'll go with the idli. Okay. So that's what the pandas has been imported successfully. There is no error. There is no import error or unknown package. The package has been successfully imported. So now the next important thing in Python, in pandas, is the most important aspect is a data frame. So pandas represent the data. The pandas data will be represented in this form, in this data frame. Okay, so this is how it consists of rows and then columns. That's it, nothing much. A data frame consists of number of rows and the number of columns, and in addition to that, the top portion is our header section, and then a leftmost portion is identification section. It's a unique id, okay, serial number such as. Okay, it's clear. So let's take one example. So I want to store some passenger data. So how can I store the data? How can I store the data in Python? In Python, we know list, tuple, and lot of objects. But how do you do that? How will you do here? So, for example, I have a number of passengers, and I know the names and age and sex. So these are my variables. Okay. So my variables are, I'll just write my variables here. So I'm just commenting those things. So passengers, number of passengers, then I have name of the passenger, age, that's an integer variable, then it's a sex, it's a binary. Okay, so either male or female. Okay, that's what. So now let's begin making our first ever data frame, our own data frame. A data frame is nothing but you're creating a frame to the data. That's what happens. You put all your data variables and values inside a data frame of 3 by 3 or n m by n, m number of rows and n number of columns, m by n. So that's what the data frame is. You're just framing your data with m by n times of rows and columns respectively. So let's do that. Let's create a first data frame. I'll write it as a df is equals to data frame. I'll say it, and as we have imported this as a pandas, you can see that pd. Okay, pd dot. So before that, let me show you something. PD dot and click on tab, and here you can see all the methods which are assigned to the pandas can be clearly visible. Okay, date offset, Excel file, flags, group index, a lot more. Okay, so let me come scroll down more and describe options and IO, merge, plot, read. Here you see read Excel, read CSV, read feather, a lot. JSON, read JSON, read SAS, even for the SAS, and SQL query, SQL table, lot. Okay, so let's get back to the work. So df equals to pd dot. So I'll say data frame. So this is what I want to use. Just click on tab, it will auto complete it. That's it. So data frame. So now inside the data frame, I'm gonna check this. So let me give indentation, and so first key is name. So names are, again, this is the header. Here you can see that this is what the first key is, the first column header. So the name, and I'm going to provide list of values in this column. So name, I'll give Charan Shiva. Let me give the list of items. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, it's a string. I need to give the codes, and then Krishna, Rama, and I think that's more than enough. So let me close the list. That's it. So then, and put a comma. And next, let me add one more. And this time it's, what's the second one? The name has been added. And the second one is age. Okay. Sorry. Age. So age, I'll give 25. It's an integer. I don't need to give any quotes because it's not a string. So that's the object, Python object literal type. If it is an int, you don't need to provide any literal, whereas if it is a string, you have to provide the quote, a single quote, a double quote. If you're not clear, kindly watch my Python Intuitive Python for You course. I have explained this in detail. Okay, let's get into the work here. So 25, then let's take a random number. That's okay. These are all, yeah, that's all done. So let me close this and let me get into the one more. The last one, that's a sex of each. So all are male, 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 and then let me check male. That's okay, it's fine. So I would have taken that's okay, and that's it. Our 3 column headers and with the values are ready. So let me come down and close our first, because it's kind of dictionary. So let me close this and then close it with the parenthesis. So that's it. It's done. Our first data frame, let me execute it. That's it. The data frame has been stored. So let me click on df, and that's it. This is your first data frame. I hope you are also excited like me. So let me do a small minor changes. Let me come down I'll take Rama. In spite of that, I'll take sorry, yeah, and yeah, I'll say female, and I'll change this also. Second one female, I'll say, and I'll scroll up, I'll go up, and I'll change the names here. I'll put it to Durga, the most powerful woman, and I'll say Saraswati. That's it's like goddess of education, educational minister. That's okay. Let me enter, but this time I'm gonna change the, this is df1, data frame 1. So let me, okay, sorry, let me come here and execute it. That's it. So let me click on, let me call df1, and here is that. This is our second data frame. So here just compare the header, the index here, the index, and this is our values. This is the column 1, and here this is the name of the column. It's a variable name, and these are the values of that. And this is a variable name, values of that, variable name, values of that. So total it consists of 4 records. You see that 4 records, and too many. That's all about your data frame. So all these data points, you see that all these data points were put into a frame. That's the reason we call it as a data frame. So to manually store a data in a table, we create a data frame. When using a Python dictionary of lists, the dictionary keys will be used as a column headers, and the values in each list as columns of the data frame. A data frame is a two-dimensional data structure that can store data of different types, including characters, integers, floating point values, categorical data, and more and more. So that all in columns. So it's similar to a spreadsheet, a SQL table, or the data dot frame in R. If you have used R programming language, you might have known about this, a data dot frame. It's similar to that. Okay, it's like a table, a spreadsheet table. It's by and large similar to that. Okay, so here in this case, this table has 3 columns. You see that with the, obviously with the index, but other than the index we have 3 columns. Without the index we have 3, and with the index it's 4. So 3 columns, each of them with a column label. We call them as a label, and the column labels are respectively the name, age, and sex. So the column name consists of textual data, each value a string, and the column age are the numbers, and the column sex is textual data again. That's a binary one. So if you want to represent the same in Excel sheet, how does it look like? Let me show that. So let me copy this and just let me open the spreadsheet. It's Excel, yeah, yeah, and here it is. This is how it looks. Okay, clear? This is how it looks. Fine. So each column in a data frame is a series. This is the point to be remembered. So each column in this data frame, this is called a data frame, and each column in this data frame is called as a series. Let me show you that. Okay, you can see that. So this is the first series, second, third, fourth, and then fifth. So these are all called series. The column is called as a series. We can't call it as a column because the column terminology belongs to spreadsheet. So now we have to shift into the data frame terminology. We call it as a series. Okay, let me put this here and bring it on to the left side. Yeah. So how many series we have? The one, two, three. So I'm just, for example, I'm just interested in working with the data in the column H, only in the column H. What should I do? Simple. If you remember, so DF, I'll take one, and what's the series label? Which series we want to select? It's H. So let me select that H, and execute it. That's it. You see that? You can see the age. Obviously every time you'll get this index series. That's fine, but you don't need to bother about that much. Here you can see that age series only visible to you, and here you can see the name of the label is age, and what's the type of this data that age series consists of is int. So when selecting a single column of pandas data frame, the result is a pandas series. To select the column, we have to use the column label in between the square brackets. Okay, and let's do it for one more. So df1. So this time I'm gonna take a name label. So now we would see the only name series. Okay, and all D type, it's an object type, it's a string type fundamentally. Okay, so we can create a series from scratch as well. So we can attach if you want, you can create a series. So let's do that. Let me bring it. Yeah, so let's create a series in spite of the data frame. I just want to create a series. So no data frame. So I'll say age s, and then this time I'll take pandas pt dot, then I'll find out the series s. Let me type the s, that would be better, that would be far better. SERIES. So series, oh, that's the wrong one. Let me say that capital S is correct. SERIES dot, and let me click. Yeah, that's it. Tab. So now inside that you have to give a list of the values, because series, what all values you want to include. Here you can see that auto populated data none, index none, d type, data type. So that all things you can mention, but however, let me give the values randomly. So 23, 44, 53, 23, 53, 34, and let me close it. So tuple, you can give more series, but for now this is only one. So one list of values were given to this series. So let me execute this, and just let's call this ages series and see. And here is that d type is all at int. That's how we can even create a series. So now let's do something with a data frame or a series, whatever you want. So okay, so what I'm gonna do is let's take the df1, and then so let me take the age series from the data frame of df1, It's indexing. Literally what I'm doing is indexing of the Python. Okay, indexing of the Python data frame with the column name. Then obviously I will go for the methods which are available for that series. So let me go for the max. Let me go for the max. Divide arrow on. So let me do max. Yeah, max. And that's it. And let me click on that and you should see this is what the maximum value. So let me do it for the series, and series name is ages, and again I have to index it directly ages, and then I can apply directly to the series the values. I'll say max. Okay, and here is that, and that the maximum age is 53. So this time I'm gonna do again df1, index the header, index the column series label. I'm gonna index age, and then I'll go for mean this time. Sorry, mean. And this is what the mean of all four ages that are there. So this time I'm gonna do, so again df1 and index the series label, and let me go for the, okay, there are a lot of things, absolute, add, so aggregate, align, append. So these are all basically, so count, let me do the count. How many people are there? It's 4. Absolutely fine. So now let me do the some numerical statistical uh, 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 continuous statistical analysis on this specific series. Okay, df1, let me go with the age, again age label series, and then I'm go with the mode. Okay, you can see that mode, and let me get it here. So okay, out of which it did not find. Okay, let me check that. Let me copy this again in spite of going typing again and again. And this time let me go for the tab. Okay, let me go for the combine count is done. Describe, let me give the describe directly, some magical thing you will see. Okay, so you wanna add a percentile in, if you want to customize this you can do it, or let me just go as it is a default one. And here is the magic. When you describe, so most of the parameters were given. So count is 4.000, it's a float, and then mean is this, and the standard deviation, of course it is too much, because you can see that the first one and the last one there is a huge amount of standard deviation. And here you can see the minimum, this is the minimum out of this, obviously 25 is the minimum, and we have 25%. Okay, sorry, so 25% is, these are the percentiles, 25% is to 48, and these are the percentiles. We will be doing all those things in our statistics. Soon we'll be doing these things, you don't need to worry, I will explain them very clearly. So then we can find the maximum value. Okay, so this is how we get like rudimentary or basic basic numerical statistical analysis with the single method that's called describe. Okay, so you can just simply go on and go on. There are a lot of methods. You can keep on exploring all those things. You don't need to worry about much. Okay. There are a lot of functions. There are a lot of methods. You just keep on doing that. And most important thing while doing this is you should not forget to use this parenthesis. Okay, let me do one more example so that you will not forget that. So let me copy this and paste it here. This time let me find the new one. Tab, and scroll down, cross to describe, and let's see what else is there. So divide. If you do you want to divide with something? Do you want to do that? So let's yeah, you can do the group by, had a lot of things, but let me go into the histogram and see what's going to happen. Okay, so this is adding. So by none x, so if you want to customize, you can add all those information, x label size and all those things, but for now let's go with this. Okay, histogram and click. So trace most recent, you'll get obviously an error because of some issues that we'll see later, but for now, so what I'm trying to say here is you just let me copy this one more time and paste it here. So this time I'm gonna show with one more example quickly. Okay, df1 age and count. So for example, count. So adding this parenthesis is pretty much important. That's what I'm trying to say. You see that if we don't add a parenthesis, what's gonna happen? Let's see now. Yep, and this is what happens. It's supposed to give count, but it has given something else. It's directly gave that series. It directly gave that series. It did not, the method hasn't worked because the method is fundamentally a function that belongs to that class, the class of object. Okay, so now we have seen the describe and what all data it consists of, and then the most important thing, let's wrap this up, to be remembered when you deal with a data frame is the first thing to be done is to import the package. Most probably and widely used one is to import pandas as pd. Then a table of data is stored as a pandas data frame. The data will be stored, a table of data will be stored as a pandas data frame. We call that as a data frame. Then each frame in a data frame is called as a series, and the header label of that series, the label of the column, we call it as a label of the series. Now we can do things by applying a method to a data frame. Either you can apply to the data frame or you can apply to the series. So let's apply to the data frame. Let me scroll down completely. So data frame and click on tab, and you got a lot of things. So age, name, these are all label labels of the series, and you can align, you can aggregate, append, apply. You can add more things. You can add axis, between time. You can get the columns, compare, convert t types, count, and describe. So it's specifically asking what percentiles you want. You can simply mention here because these are default ones. You don't need to specifically mention. If you don't mention, if you don't give anything, it will take a default value. So include, exclude, and all those things. Let me enter. And here is that. This is the complete description of the data frame itself. So data frame, this is the complete information about the data frame. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's all about what kind of data does pandas handle section.